Hello everyone, welcome to episode 1 of ResultPrep's Logical Reasoning Revision Series. This is the passage that we're going to look at right now. I'm going to read out the passage first. The government announces a new policy requiring all online marketplaces to verify sellers through a central identity system. Critics argue that while verification will reduce counterfeit goods, it will increase entry barriers for small sellers who lack digital access. Supporters counter that the long-term benefits of consumer trust outweigh short-term barriers. Meanwhile, a recent study shows that 70% of consumers avoid lesser-known online sellers due to trust concerns. So, what is there in the passage are 4 to 5 sentences. How I look at it is there are 4 to 5 arguments put together in one passage. And before we move on to the questions and solve them, how I would solve them would be there's always a major premise, a minor premise, and a conclusion in any argument. And that is how we're going to approach this. The ideas or the arguments in this passage would act as the major premise, and the question that follows would act something similar to a conclusion, and the answer you're asked to choose would be the minor premise, which does a balancing act between the major premise of the passage and the question, which could be the conclusion. And we'll move on to the questions now. The first question: which of the following, if true, most strengthens the critic's argument? We have to look at what the critic's argument is. And if you look at the passage, the critics argue that though counterfeit goods may be reduced, it will increase entry barriers for small sellers who lack digital access. And you look at the options here. Verified sellers reported higher sales after policy. A majority of small sellers live in areas with poor digital connectivity. Counterfeit sales decreased by 15%. Consumers prefer platforms that ensure strict verification. And a short look at the passage gives you the answer that the argument of the critics would be B. A majority of small sellers live in areas with poor digital connectivity. So, strengthening the critic's argument would be the conclusion that you're looking at, and the argument of the critics would be the major premise and this minor premise, which says that a majority of small sellers live in areas with poor digital connectivity, strengthens the argument because if the majority of small sellers live in areas with poor digital connectivity, then it automatically undermines the new policy that the government is going to bring in. If the majority of small sellers live in areas with poor digital connectivity, then it automatically undermines the new policy that the government is going to bring in. Now we look at question number 2. Which assumption is necessary for the supporters' argument? So here it is much clearer as to what the question requires us to answer. And you look at the options. Consumer trust directly boosts online sales in the long run. All small sellers will eventually adopt digital technology. Counterfeit products cause harm to consumers. Cost of verification will be reduced over time. The correct answer here would be A. Consumer trust directly boosts online sales in the long run. This is the argument that the supporters use to justify the introduction of a verification policy, because they say that increases consumer trust and therefore that will boost online sales in the long run and a good measure overall. We look at question 3 now. Which of the following weakens the supporters' argument? You look at the options. Small sellers form 60% of the marketplace supply. Many consumers trust local stores more than online marketplaces. Consumers become price sensitive when trust increases. A verification system experiences repeated technical failures. So we have to look at what weakens the supporters' argument. The supporters argue that verification is good. So that would be the major premise. And when we look at the options here to choose from a minor premise to weaken the major premise, that would lead us to the conclusion that the answer is D. The verification system experiences repeated technical failures. This makes us question the entire justification of bringing in a verification system if it can't function properly. Now we move on to question 4. What can be inferred from the passage? So what this question needs us to answer is to understand the entire idea of the passage. Do not break it down into small portions and small arguments like we did earlier, but look at it as a whole, as in a holistic perspective. Options are: consumers avoid new sellers mainly due to pricing. Consumer trust plays a crucial role in online marketplace growth. Digital policies always harm small sellers. Verification eliminates counterfeit goods completely. Now, we can know that verification does not eliminate counterfeit goods completely because that is not mentioned in the passage. And they also do not talk about harming small sellers at all times. So you can eliminate C and you can eliminate A as well, because it says consumers avoid new sellers mainly due to pricing. Pricing has not been discussed in the passage. It's not a talking point at all. So the correct answer to this will be B. Consumer trust plays a crucial role in online marketplace growth. And now we move on to the final question. Which of the following, if true, most strengthens the supporter's claim that long-term benefits outweigh short-term costs? You look at the options. After 2 years, small sellers who completed verification saw 40% higher revenue. Small sellers protest due to initial difficulty. Verification leads to minor increase in operating costs. Counterfeit reporting increases on social media. And we can adopt the method of elimination here again, where we don't see any talk about social media in the passage. Though we do see that verification leads to minor increase in operating costs being an indirect argument. It's not a direct argument. And we also do not see any argument that says small sellers protest due to the initial difficulty. And you look at A. After 2 years, small sellers completed verification saw a 40% higher revenue. This is the right answer. And this is because by process of elimination, we have eliminated the other options. And 2, this supports the question best. It strengthens the supporting claim best. Thank you. See you again in the next episode. Stay connected for more videos like this and for more information on any important topic related to cracking the CLAT exam.